Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's been a very long time since we've last spoken. And I've produced any content. There's been a lot of stuff happening with the world lately, and it just didn't feel like the right time to kind of put anything out. So without further ado, I'm gonna give you guys a little walkthrough of my beauty routine. When I get in the face for, whether it's for a show, or to go to a photo shoot, or to do something sitting right here at my desk for you guys. So without further ado, I will be taking you guys from this cinder block of a man face to my beauteous self. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And let's get into it, bitch. So starting off first, I like to moisturize my face before I put on any sort of, even primer, girl. Even primer. I still like to moisturize because when your face is hydrated and, not dry or anything like that, it takes the makeup better and it makes the application look softer. Makes things blend better. So you can just use any old moisturizer that you feel comfortable with based on your skin type. I personally use this Basha Cheese Seed Moisture Cream. You can get it from Sephora. I think it's like $32. It's not that bad a price, but if you're looking for a budget, CeraVe is another good alternative. So now that we've definitely moisturized, while that's still fresh on our face, we're going to take the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. And we're just going to focus on where my pores are, which is mostly just my T-zone and where I highlight. I'm just going to pat that in. And they're nice and smooth. There we go. Now that your face feels warm and smooth and soft, it's a baby's ass. Girl, we can get into some foundation. So I use a full coverage foundation. And given that I do drag, bear with me while I find it. I'm very ill prepared. I use Mehron, which is a theater brand of makeup. And it's perfect for drag. So it's not as dry as Kryolan is. Which is what I appreciate most about it, is that you can still blend it around. It doesn't take light years for you to move around your skin. It just wipes right on. I know some people like to take the brush or the sponge, but I feel like the sponges kind of eat the product as well as the brushes do. Plus, I don't like the blend finish when you blend with a brush. But, that's just my preference. Some people might like that. Nice, I get all over my face. I like to feel like I'm wearing a mask. Okay, we're going to take our sponge. I prefer a nice big one. And just beat that foundation into your face, girl. Beat it into submission, honey. Just get in there. Oh, there we go. Make sure you get under the eyes. Get into any crevices. Underneath your nostrils, if you have pronounced nostrils on your face, because I don't like looking at the side and then I see this line of demarcation. I like to make sure anywhere that is visible is covered. And I do beat into the hairline because I like to make sure all of my face is covered. No edges left behind. Even if that means the wig covers from here, I like to make sure it's all there. You never know. Okay, so now that we're done with that, we can move on to concealer. So I use concealer to highlight. You can use concealer to even cover other things up. That's the right one. That is the right one. Perfect. So I use Too Faced Born This Way full coverage concealer in the color Swan, which is not white. I used to paint with a lot of white tones to highlight my face, usually just clown white, and that's popular amongst drag queens as well. But I'm using a warmer tone because I have more yellow tones on my face. I like to make sure I'm not ghosted out. We don't need to look like James Charles after that one photo shoot where she looked like the mad scientist from, God, what is that movie? Nightmare Before Christmas. So I'm just gonna blend. And this has some nice yellow tones in it, so like when it's focused on my face. And because my face, my complexion is so light, you know, you can't wash yourself out. You still have to bring like depth and color into your skin. So using a warmer highlight definitely has its advantages. So just gonna blend that down over here. You're probably wondering why I'm bringing it all the way down into my cheeks, and it's because when I go and blend my contour, it'll create this beautiful like gradient. You'll see it later. I almost forgot to highlight my chin. Whoops. All right. Blend my forehead. Like I said, you just want to beat that bitch into oblivion. And I have a pointed chin, so I just kind of like slightly accentuate what I already have naturally. I don't have a very wide chin, so it helps to have a thinner, more forward chin sometimes, at least for me. But everybody's face is different, and that's, you know, what I like about the human experiment. Makeup is not always the same, and it, you know, everybody's got different features and things. Okay. I'm gonna blend a little bit back more here, bring it this way, because my brows do come out like really far. Okay. So now we're gonna move on to eyebrows. So I do my eyebrows, you know, while my face is still wet from creams and things like that. And that's mostly because that's, honestly, in drag, it's the only way to get that perfect ombre brow. I don't care who you are, there ain't no way. It's more blending than it's worth to try to do it after you've already powdered. So I'm just gonna take this black opal stick in the shade Hazelnut, and I'm gonna take this angle brush, and I kind of place it like a little bit above my natural eye space. So it's kind of in the same areas, but it's just placed a little bit higher. And this way, when you make facial expressions, things will still move like they're supposed to, and it doesn't look like you just got Botox. So I'm just drawing up, and then out. I'm gonna dip my brow again, just so I can get some more product. And do the same thing. And then we're gonna fill in. And then I'm going to take my ring finger and just kind of blend right at the front. So it'll look a little bit dark here, but it's carved. I know y'all can't really see it, but you'll see it more once, especially once I highlight under here. You'll definitely see it. So we're going to go ahead and do the other side. And just kind of pay attention to where you start the other brow. Because you want them to look as closely related as possible. I understand sometimes that is a task and a half, and I sympathize, girl. I've had brows that have looked like Facebook friends that have blocked each other. So you'll notice I'm drawing a little bit more under, just because I want them to look as even as possible when they start especially when they end. Same thing, except this is already drawn a little high, so I'm just kind of not as overdrawing as high, because I still want them to look even. Looks like I gotta take this one a little higher, and that's fine. Let me see. Yeah, just a little higher on the first side. Just fill it in. See, and it looks thick now, but we're gonna go ahead and highlight now underneath them to kind of cut your brows out. Now I'll say this looks very, it's an industry term we call painting by numbers, but trust the process, honey. Trust the process. So what I do when I'm about to cut my brows out is these doe foot applicators on the Born This Way concealers are very large, and it's very full coverage. So I take a jab here and a jab here, because when I go and I start to fill in and cut my brows, I don't like that harsh line that sits underneath your eyebrows when you highlight them, because I want to highlight the brow but without having that harsh wet line underneath them. I'm using a lighter shade for this. This is in the color Cloud, which is very close to white. So I'm shaking it just under here, and then we're gonna blend this in a minute here. But I want to get over here and do the same thing. Just draw a line. Once you have that, and I did leave a little bit of a wet line here, but what I'm going to do now is just take my brush and just pull the product down. I know a lot of queens like to do the highlight first, so you can kind of draw out where your brows are gonna go. Wow, bras. But I find this is easier for me. This is my process. You know, not really anybody else's process. So I'm just going back over it here, where I've just overdrawn just a smidge too much. I'm gonna take my sponge that I used to blend out my highlight and just kind of press it in. Be very careful, especially if you're using a sponge with an edge on it. You know, whether it be the ones from the Beauty Supply or these Morphe sponges, or any kind of sponge for that matter. Just be very careful where it's going and how it's being applied, because one wrong move and it could lead to a lot more editing than you're probably wanting to do. I apologize that I'm kind of looking down. I am working on getting a better setup for this, so I can look straight at the camera for you guys so you can see everything that I'm doing. But this is kind of what it's supposed to look like. Well, not just kind of. It is what it's supposed to look like. So we got that going for us. I'm going to take my brown brush again and just kind of go back over it. Okay. Take the sponge and connect your highlight, ladies. Connect that. Because this should already be nothing but highlight. It's the center of your face. It's where you want attention to be drawn. So I'm going to go off camera and just powder really quick. Well, actually, we could do that right here. We can powder. So I use two different setting powders. So I use, first, all over my highlight area, I use a warmer setting powder. And you're about to see it, because, baby, it's warm. So I take this sponge here and use a Kimchi Chic Beauty Puff Puff Pass setting powder in the color Peachy. Now, it's got a little bit of a yellow tone to it, but when you play with color, you can kind of affect your overall outcome. and bring different dimensions to your face. So here, underneath the nose, I have a compact mirror down here, so I apologize that I'm not looking up this way. And then I'm gonna take some Ben Nye neutral set and a big ass fucking powder puff. Excuse me. And just set the rest of this face. And you just want to use a little bit, enough to set it. Some powder does have flashback. Keep that in mind. So when you use a lot, you might look like your Casper's good friend. Okay. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go off camera and, well, we could adjust. Alrighty, there we go. I'm gonna dust this off. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna get into doing brows and powder, especially for contouring and highlighting. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with my brows. I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills X Alyssa Edwards palette. It's a really good palette, not just for eyeshadow, but I use it to fill in my brows. And I'm going to take a dark brown color and put it into the outside of my brow and along the tail. And then do the same thing on the other side, because I do things in stages. Same angle brush I used to draw them on when I was in my cream stage. Okay. Let me go ahead and fix this point over here just so it matches. Bring it down about halfway, so we're gonna go with our next color. So, next stage in brows, I go ahead and take a stubby brush or a really thick, like blending brush that you could use for your crease. Mine looks like this. I don't know where it came from. I think I got it from one of those like dollar brush sets you get off AliExpress. So I'm gonna take a red toned eyeshadow. This is more orange. And I'm gonna take it in the center here of the eyebrow and just kind of buff that in. And this helps create a warmth in a dimension. Okay. Now I'm going to take a nice taupe color. Ooh, bro, the back of my head is itchy today. Alrighty. So this is what an ombre brow kind of looks like. You know, on camera it looks really, really red, but can always fix that. Can make it a little bit more, you know, a little darker. Add some darker brown to it. Same dark brown you used on the outside. And this way you're still creating dimension. And normally I would switch colors on my color switcher, which is a cute little sponge I got from the beauty supply store. Mine looks like this. I use it to clean off my brushes between eyeshadows and things like that. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into powder contour. When doing powder contour, you want to make sure that you build a gradation of powders. I've seen some girls, you know, rock with just using one contour color. I have to use a mixture. So I'm just going to take a simple powder brush. This is a Morphe R10. And I'm going to take a bronzer. And this is a NYX matte bronzer in the color medium. And I'm just going to start doing my cheek. And when you do your contouring your cheeks in drag, the goal is to create, you know, a softer illusion, make your face appear more round. So I make sure things start at the top of the ear, but I also bring it down here a little bit so that way it looks more uniformly transformative. So just gonna take that and we're just gonna blend. And one thing, drag queens are known for putting on a lot of makeup. So, because when you're under big bright stage lights, you need to make sure that you have all sorts of color and warmth and depth in your face that, you know, you don't get washed out. And we'll get into that a little bit later once we get into blushing. All right. That's about what my cheek looks like. Same thing. Bring it down and blend. You want to blend in an upward circle, not downward. Okay? And then I just take this and I pat all up into my forehead. It's a little bit easier than just kind of just straight blending because I like to make sure the color is concentrated and deep. And then we're going to get into the nose. So the nose, I use the same brush I use for my eyebrows. And I'm going to take a different color off of a different color contour palette. Just because I like, because my nose is so thick and wide, I need to make sure that I can carve this bitch down to a thin ice pick. So I'm taking it from the top of the bridge of my nose and bringing it forward. Down towards the center of the bridge of my nose. And I do also blend down at the bottom, just little circles. And then I add a very concentrated amount underneath the natural tip of my nose, because I like to do a nice button nose. Alright. Just making sure things are even and, you know, carved on both sides. So now that that's done, we're going to go back in with the same brush I used on my cheeks and carve this jawline. So when you have a square face like I do, you want to bring it just above the jawline. This video will be, this will be like a two-part series. So mostly it's going to be, first half is going to be creams, powder, contour, and highlighting. And then the last will be eyes and blush, lips, lashes, all that good stuff. Because I don't want this to be like a 40-minute long transformative video, because it takes me over an hour to get into face. So we're going to do the same thing, just blend. And just blend a little bit here, just when you notice, like, hey, maybe this is not blended enough. Okay. Okay, we're going to take one more deeper color. It's from the same contour palette that I dug into to do my nose. Take a little bit deeper color, and we're just going to plant it right on the outside. The only place this is not going is the nose. Because you don't want to make your nose too dark when you are contouring it. Because the goal is to create a new nose, but baby, you can make that thing really dark, and it's going to stand out. It's going to look harsh. So just taking it right on the outside, blending it inward. Okay. Same thing in the cheek, but you don't want to bring it past like here, because you want to refine that and give a deep contour, so that way it looks like you've actually changed your face. And do the same thing on the other side. Alright, I look crazy now, but we get there. We'll get there. Alright, so next I'm going to powder. Powder highlight, actually, more specifically. I'm going to take the Ben Nye neutral set and put this over where I've set with the warmer setting powder, because it is yellowy, and you don't want to look too yellowy on camera. Because that's when you're going to look like you have jaundice, and that is not the tea, honey. Trust me, I've been there. We've played a little too hard in the heyday of my drag career with banana powder. That's not the tea. Trust me, been there. I know we all want that Kim K bake, but sometimes you can't have that. Sometimes it's just not the right skin tone. You gotta play with other colors. So I'm gonna go ahead and bake underneath my nose contour. And then take the same sponge. And just powder down the bridge of my nose. And then I take my pinky. And I just put a button nose at the end. Okay, so next we're going to get into eyes. And that'll be in the next video. So I hope you've enjoyed this. You know, make sure you click like, subscribe, comment. You know, have any questions, all that good stuff. But next video we'll be getting into eyes and the rest of the face. Bye, guys.